Hey there, it's Melanie from Chasing Fi, and today I'm going to tell you about the saga that is my quest to secure a business banking account. So, we set up our LLC, and it's in Ohio because that's where our properties are at. I have a business bank account here in Utah for my business that's in Utah, and it was super easy to set up. I went through my credit union, so no big deal. Set it up online. I mean, in a matter of minutes, it was all set. I thought it would be at least half as easy to do it for our rental properties. So we went through our lawyer, to set up our LLC in Ohio because it's a different state. And while I'm sure that we could have figured out everything that we needed to do, it's just kind of like, it just made more sense for us just to pay to have it done because we have a lot of other things going on. So we get the LLC set up, lawyer does a fantastic job, and then they send us like a packet that explains what you need to do to make sure you're in compliance with your LLC. Really great stuff, super detailed, great lawyers. The first thing that you need to do, well, one of the first things is you need to set up a business checking account. Sounds like a very simple thing. I mean, setting up a banking account is not a big deal. We had our EIN number, we had the name of the business. I mean, everything's in order. So, no big deal, right? You would think. The the first bank I looked at was US Bank, and the reason that I looked at them is because they have been sending me advertisements about opening a business checking account at their bank. But it's been for my business here in Utah. Well, I already have a checking account for that. I don't need it. But I thought, well, maybe I'll give them a shot for the rental properties in Ohio. Another reason that I was considering them is because we want a bank that has branches in Ohio and branches in Utah, and US Bank fits the bill. Not to mention they're, pretty old bank. Been doing this a long time, probably should have all of this figured out. So I sent down online and I fill out the application and I have all the information that they want. So I fill it out and I submit it. So when I submit it, it gives me a message that kind of makes it seem like it hasn't submitted properly. But then I go back to the page and I'm like, okay, it's saying that the application was submitted. Cool. So this happened on a Wednesday. Wednesday, not this past week, but the week before. So I fill out the application and it says at the end, give us some time to figure things out. You'll hear from us within 2 business days. So it's a Wednesday morning, but I still figure I won't hear from them until Monday, this past Monday, because that would have been the third business day, right? Okay. And then I would even be cool with Tuesday because, hey, I know labor shortages, all that stuff. So when I hadn't heard from them by Wednesday, I give them a ring because I'm just like, okay, maybe the application actually didn't go through. Maybe there's something wrong. I'm going to check in with them. I never got any email confirmation that I fill out the application, and they have two email addresses because they want it to. So neither one of my emails has any type of confirmation or anything like that in there. So I call them up and I'm on the phone for about 30 minutes. I'm transferred from department to department. Like all this time, I'm like, well, maybe I can get this straightened out while I'm on the phone. No such luck. The only thing that they told me was, oh, it's under review. And then they say, if you don't hear from us within a few days, give us a call back. And I'm thinking, okay, like, I don't know that I want to do business with a bank that is, if I call them back, then we can do business, but they're not going to contact me. There's no email, there's no nothing. Like, I mean, there are other banks out there. So when I got that response from US Bank, I just decided if they don't call me or send me an email or something, I'm not going to keep pursuing them because I feel like that's the way that business will be with them. And since our rental properties are in another state and everything, I need a decent bank. I want a decent bank. Unfortunately, the online bank that we use for the high interest savings account doesn't offer business checking accounts because if they did, I'd just go with them because they actually have some physical branches in the Midwest. Um, But since it's not an official business checking account, I don't want to use that. I want an official business checking account so that my LLC is in line as it should be, because they'll take your tax information. And if you when you go to file your taxes at the end of the year, you have all of this set up to prove that you have this LLC and you're running everything properly, you're keeping your funds separate, things like that. So I need a business checking account. I am shocked that US Bank was so laxed, and I just thought it would be super easy to set this up because, like I said, I have one for my business in Utah and it was easy. So at this point, I'm going to try PNC Bank. I've never banked with them or anything like that. But they have branches in Utah and in Ohio. And the lawyer told us to make sure that we use a bank that has branches in Ohio. So I'm going to fill out an app with them. They actually have virtual appointments. So I'll probably set that up and hopefully I'll be able to get the business account set up before the end of the upcoming week. There are a few other banks that I can try after this one, but it's kind of slim pickings because Bank of America, which I considered, I thought, oh yeah, I'll try them. From what I hear, they have closed or they've either closed or are closing all of their branches in, I think, Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio. I have no idea why, but that was one bank that I considered. The other bank, which is everywhere, that I really don't want to deal with is Chase Bank. The reason I don't want to deal with Chase Bank is because back in 2011, I had a bank account with Chase. In fact, I had been, like in Michigan, they were pretty big. I've been banking with them for years. And in 2011, someone hacked into my account and started taking my money. And this was a bad time for money to be taken from me. I just moved into my own apartment in Salt Lake City. I was waiting tables. I didn't have a car. Like, money was very important. So luckily I was a waitress though. So most of my money, well, all of my money was coming to me. Well, the bulk of my money, because I was still doing freelance writing, the bulk of my money came in cash every night. If not for that, I don't know what I would have done. I did have savings though in my bank account, and I would walk to the bank and, deposit money every week or so. I'd just go and deposit some money. But luckily I was a waitress, so they didn't get all of my money. But someone hacked my account. They were in Saudi Arabia. All these transactions are coming out, and like as soon as I reported it to Chase, they locked me out of my account. And what ended up happening was that the person in Saudi Arabia, I guess they thought that that was the rightful owner of the account because that person was still able to take money out of that account. And I ended up with a bunch of overdraft fees that I had to pay. And it was frustrating. And I was so angry. After that, I closed my bank account with Chase after I paid off all the fees and all that stuff, because I tried to fight them. But they were like, no, if you don't pay this is going to go on your credit report and all this stuff. So obviously I was a waitress at the time. I didn't have a car. I was just rebuilding my life in Salt Lake City. So I obviously was not going to contact a lawyer or anything like that. So I just paid the fees, went broke doing it, but just paid it, closed the account, said I'm never doing business with you guys again, and went to the credit union that's really popular here. So I did that back in 2011. But, Chase is a big bank. So, for example, last year there was, like Amazon has a credit card where you can get cash back and all this stuff. And last year I really started to get into the credit cards where you get the cash back. I had been totally against credit cards before, but now that I know how to use them properly, I'm like, yeah, I want these credit cards. So I applied for a credit card, an Amazon credit card, and I got it. And then the first time I went to use it, I couldn't. So of course I called Chase and I'm like, hey, I just got this card. I can't use it for some reason. And it took I don't know, probably 45 minutes on the phone, a week or so. And then they realized that I was, yes, the same person from 2011, but I'm guessing that they figured out, well, no, that was the rightful account holder. That's the person who paid off the debt in that account and closed it. So they realized that, and then I was able to use the card for one transaction. And then after that transaction, it was frozen again. So every time I've tried to use that card, it's shut down and they investigate me for fraud. And part of the problem is that I lived in Salt Lake City back then. I don't live there anymore. My last name was different. I got married, like just all these things. And so Chase, for whatever reason, I mean, I applaud you know, their desire to control fraud and really stay on top of it. I really do. That's great. But the problem is that I was the rightful account holder all along. So it's really frustrating. But Chase is an option. It is a bank that has branches in Ohio and in Utah. But I'm hoping I don't have to go that route because I really don't want to have to deal with a fraud investigation every time I try to do something with the bank account. So that's my story about business checking account. I don't know why some of these things that I would think would be so simple have turned out to be so difficult. I have no idea. But that's where I am with that. I am going to check out the other bank, PCN, whatever. I'm going to check that out and see if I can get an account going there. If not, I will just have to use our online checking account because we don't use that for anything. I need to keep my funds separate. I will have to temporarily use that as our business checking account, even though it's not a business checking account. And then when we go to the Midwest, I will go into some bank, credit union, whatever in Ohio and set up an account if I can't get it through this other bank. So that's my story. What about you? Have you had trouble setting up a business checking account? If you have, I really want to hear your story because I'm just kind of feeling like, why is this happening? This should be easy. It's setting up an account. It should be so easy. But anyway, if you had any problems or a good experience, if you have a recommendation, great. Drop it in the comments below. So remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.